Welcome. What I want to show you today is it's a simple little thing. It is a quilt-as-you-go block. You can make this any size you want. You can put it together in any manner that you wish. What you're going to need. You're going to need a block of backing fabric. I have a 10-inch block here. Now, because of the way that I'm going to put my blocks together, I have a 9-inch piece of batting. You may want to do a different manner of putting the blocks together in which you would want your batting to be the same size as your block of fabric. That part is entirely up to you. And your block can be any size. Just because I have a 10-inch doesn't mean you have to have a 10-inch. You can have them larger, you can have them smaller. What this is good for is this is a great little, it's just a strip block. It's nothing overly fancy. This is how it's going to end up looking. Really cute. It's a great stash buster. Now what I've got is I've got two on each end. My strips are a little bigger, but by the time that I go ahead and get everything stitched in, they should be all the same size. You can do multiple sizes. You can do them all the same size. You can do them any way you want. Use your imagination. This is just fun stuff, okay? This is, as I said, a great stash buster. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first piece of fabric. If this were a regular piece of fabric and I had a right side and a wrong side to it, I would have the right side up on this particular piece of fabric. And I'm just going to lay it down and line it up with the left side of my block. And then I'm going to take my next strip of fabric. As I said, they can be all the same size, if they can be all different. It's up to you. I'm going to lay this down so that the right edge of the first piece of fabric we laid down lines up with the next strip of fabric. So we want both of our raw sides to be here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it through my machine at a 1/4 inch. This can be a scat 1/4 inch. It can be a real 1/4 inch. It can be any width you want that to be. Okay, we're just going to stitch down straight to the bottom of the block. You'll see that I had a leader in there. I'll put one in at the end as well. Great featherweight project, which I think mine is in need of some oil because it's really barking at me. What I'm going to use here is I'm going to use what's called a leader. I use it at the beginning and the end of my rows. The reason that I use a leader is really twofold. One, I want my fabric to come straight off of my machine, and the leader helps me do that. The other thing is it saves thread. It really, really does. But it also improves the accuracy at the beginning and the end of our seams. And the other thing is we won't end up with our fabric getting sucked into the hole in the presser foot or in the needle plate. I'm sorry. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this strip, and you'll see we've got a beautiful seam here. I'm going to go ahead finger press it. If I was not filming, I would take this to my ironing board and I would press that open, but you can see that the finger pressing gets it really nice and flat. Now I'm going to take my next strip, and I've kind of tried to alternate lights and darks a little bit, and also different colors. I love brown and blue together, so of course I've got a lot of brown and a lot of blue in here. So now here we go. We're going to do another 1/4 inch seam allowance. just straight stitching. There is absolutely nothing fancy about this. And just going to keep going to the bottom of my block. And again, using my leader to end, which will become my beginning leader on the next strip. Okay, here we go. Trim that off and get the first leader off. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up and I am going to finger press it down. And I'm going to continue doing that until I have my entire block covered. If you end up with overage on either side, that's not a problem. You can just trim it off. It is actually better to end up with too much fabric on this block than not enough. Remember, we are going to be taking about 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch, depending on the manner of which you are joining your blocks. So you want to be sure that your fabric covers all of that area. That's really important. Okay, so coming up on the end, there's my leader. So right off, I like to make sure that my needle is in my fabric before I lift my presser foot. And take that off. And again, I'm going to finger press this open. What you're going to see is you've got your quilting already done on the opposite side. This is the back of my block. Everything is quilted. When I get finished with putting these strips on, I am done with my block. If, however, you want to embellish it just a little bit more, you know those fancy stitches we have on those big expensive machines we all bought? You could go ahead and add some of those fancy stitches right on top of this seam. Doesn't have to be every seam. You could also put them right in the center between the two seams. Entirely up to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead, finish several of these, and then we'll put them together. And you can put them together like this. One running vertical, one running horizontal. You can put them together all horizontal. Put one row horizontal, one row vertical. You can do anything that you want. This is your project. I'm just showing you how to make a block, quilt as you go with strips of fabric. As I said, great stash buster. This is an awesome one. So I hope you try this out, get a chance to use up some of those scraps that you have and some of that stash that you need to get rid of before your husband sees it, right? Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's really important to me. And we will see you again with another quilting video. And I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but you can be sure there will be another. So until then, let's quilt.